Hi, it's Bob Rivers here with another pop-up podcast. This is part 2 of the reunion of the Bob and Zip Show with Ed Kelly. Let me bring on Zip. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing fine, man. Looking forward to this fine entertainer.
Yes, this is going to be fun. Ed Kelly, yourself?
Doing well, Bob. It's good to see your face.
All right, we're live live to tape because we're recording this, but I'm in Las Vegas. Zip is in Boston, and Ed is in Detroit. Chace in Bozeman, Montana. All right, I'm gonna set this up. I got a text from my niece about a week ago, and she said, and Jody, and she's wonderful and brilliant, by the way. She said, "Hi, Uncle Bob. Hope you're feeling well. I met someone on my trip to Bozeman who I think you should really have on your podcast sometime. She's one of the most interesting people I've ever met. She's an amazing musician, plays like 12 instruments. She grew up in the Deep South, has played with famous rock and roll and country artists, and currently does improv, piano, and MC comedy. She's a comedian too. She does comedy shows. She is trans and hates identity politics. Well, I have half of that in common with her. She also has a great story about a time she played a show with Steven Tyler and told him off in a very funny way. So, ladies and gentlemen, Zip and Ed, let's welcome Chace McNinch. Did I say that right, Chace?
Sure did. Yes. Yes. So happy to be here.
All right. Chace, I want to apologize because when we were doing the technical setup, I noticed we were doing a little faux pas. We were stumbling around your pronouns.
I have bigger fish to fry at this point in my life than a combination of syllables and what's between my legs.
That's awesome.
Thanks for the courtesy, but I got rent to pay.
Well, what's funny about that is like Jody's text sold me when she said you hated identity politics. And I'll tell you, I'm not even sure exactly what that is, but I'm sure I hate it too. So let's, what is identity politics? I want to ask Zip and Ed, because you guys watch more cable than I do. I've literally cut the cord, refused to watch anything that's cable news.
I believe it's
Ed?
How you relate so far as who you're attracted to or the gender that you identify as.
Oh, it is all about gender. Okay.
Not all.
I thought it was.
I could be wrong. That was just
it could be Clark Kent, Superman identity. I don't know. Zip, is that concur with you?
Yeah, I would think so. But it's become such a rite of passage with political correctness that you kind of walk on eggshells.
Particularly in academia. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I will say to you, Chace, thanks for your courtesy, because I don't feel any eggshells around you at all.
Hell yeah. That's what it's all about. Identity politics to me, right or wrong, it's something bigger than gender. It's just, like the little things, the culture war things that make us feel like we're supposed to hate each other. I don't know about Deep South. I'm from Kansas, but I did kind of move all over the map. I lived in Tennessee for a minute.
Oh, so you lived just a minute in Tennessee is Deep South.
It's also a year.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like 10 years.
It was weird enough. There's really nothing I can say that you guys with your experience probably haven't already felt to some degree, but when you meet people from all over the map and you just talk to them and you talk about anything not controversial, people just start becoming people, and you start to realize, oh yeah, we're fed all these things all the time, like fear mongering on both sides that make I'm supposed to hate you and you're supposed to hate me and have all these judgments about each other, when the truth is we probably really do have more in common than anything else. And it's almost like the bigger powers that be don't want us to get along and come together over one thing, while we all collectively get screwed. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm not here to wave flags on behalf of anybody or any communities. Yes, the trans thing is a very proud part of my journey that I had to work my ass off for, and I lost a lot and sacrificed a lot. But at the end of the day, it's not my only thing. I want you to come to my shows because I'm a badass musician.
All right.
Okay, comedian.
Tell me, just give me a real brief bio of how, first off, I think it's brave to be a performer anyway, because you know that some people are not going to enjoy you, and then you do it anyway. And in my case, plenty of people. But to get on stage, my son Andrew is a stand-up comic, by the way. Jody may have mentioned that to you. To be on stage all by yourself and be your true self. Before we get into trying to be funny, I gotta say that to me is the scariest job I can imagine. One of the scariest jobs. How did you? At what age? At what point do you remember the moment when you had that? This is what I'm going to do.
3 years old. That was as far as my worldview went. I taught myself how to play piano. At that age, music just makes sense to my brain. I'm the worst teacher in the world for that reason. At some point, 5 minutes into the lesson, I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, kid. Just hear the song in your head and play it. That's just all you got to do. Never really works out that way. But I mean, I've been performing my whole life. And even though I grew up under the very conservative Christian tight umbrella, like not allowed to listen to music, not allowed to really do much of anything, I still had opportunities through churches and festivals and yada, yada. And so really performing is the only thing that makes sense to my brain. I'm kind of reverse in that I get 0% anxious when I go to perform. It's the one place in the world that I feel like whether I do good or bad, I have control over this thing. And then the second I get off stage, I'm like hiding in a van or something. Please don't talk to me. But the stand-up link.
Yeah. Could you do me a favor? Write a book.
Please.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It'd be called Almost. I've thought about it. I've got like 10,000 like so close and then stories.
Almost. Well, what you just described as a performer, the whole idea that when you're on stage, you're comfortable and you don't have any fear about it. That's, I mean, I aspire to that. And, for a number of years, I had that. The moment the mic cracked, I was in my happy, safe place. And it's really a thing. I don't think a lot of people understand that. What is it that happens when that mic cracks? Is it, it's just like you jumped and you're pretty sure whether you have a parachute or not, you're going to fly.
Yeah. And you just got to do it. I mean, you're paid to be there. You got to do the thing regardless. And people are going to love you or hate you. And I think that when you attach what you do to ego and acceptance from other people, then that's the second that you start failing. When you do like performing in a business capacity, sure. I mean, you have to be marketable and likable enough that people want to keep coming to see you do what you do. But at the end of the day, it's more of a self journey. You just have to release that part of yourself and say, this is just what it is and how I do it. And when I used to do the music thing, touring, humor was always a link, in the show, in between the songs, between the sets, and just finding a stage persona. So by the time that I got involved with stand-up comedy a couple years ago, the hard part of performing was already over for me. I'd already been on stage my whole life. So it was more of a why not, and just chop some wood and fine tune these little things here and there. So it's not really that difficult for me to do. That's not a commentary on whether or not it's the greatest of all time or not. It's just performing is really easy for me. And it's what I'm going to be doing regardless of whether I make money or not till the day I die. All
right. Well, let's get right to it. I have never seen you, so I just play something for us.
Thank you from Detroit.
Thank you from Las Vegas.
Thank you from Boston.
You're welcome.
And our producers are in LA and Seattle, by the way. And you're in Bozeman, Montana?
Yep. Somehow, some way.
It's kind of cool that they have internet there. That's really interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and we just got electricity, so it's pretty cool.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Neat. You played a show where Steven Tyler on stage with you, or opening up for Steven? What happened with
Open up for Steven Tyler. That was in Nashville in 2016, I think. Maybe somewhere around there when he decided he had a country music career. I was playing with a group called Corrosive. at the time.
Yes, I do remember that. He had the locks for it, even though it's a wig. So, there's a Steven Tyler backstory here. I don't know if you know it, but my wife originally dated Steven Tyler for 5 years before she met me.
Whoa!
And so, yes,
she thought she went wrong the first time.
No, she was just looking for a druggy alcoholic light, which was me.
Are you short, Bob? I was not expecting him to be that short. So is she into short people?
He's
What's
pretty
going
short,
on?
yeah. Well, he has a big 10-inch according to recording legend, but he's short. Yeah, he is a little bit short. He's a strong ego, and he's of course a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer. But he's a little bit mercurial and flamboyant. He's a lot of things maybe you would like, I would think, but he's also Steven Tyler. So I'm just so curious about what happened. By the way, were you opening as a solo act?
No, I was playing with a group by the name of Broseph at the time.
Okay.
Quick note to say, Jody's text makes it sound so much more. It makes me sound so much more like a hard ass than I really was. I was shaking the whole time trying to ask him a question, but he did say, like, he kept doing that thing where he would come, just appear and disappear backstage and just kind of mess with our heads a little bit. And can't say it was all from a bad place. There was some part of him that like knew probably what this meant to other people. And then the other times when he talked, it was so I don't care and I'm going to mess with him. So I couldn't really read it so well. And I'm just shaking in the back trying to stay out of the way. But at some point that night, I was walking in a hallway. Well, go ahead.
Are you saying that he was, because by the way, being an opening act, if there's a job almost as scary as being a stand-up comic alone on stage, being an opening act for a big star, I mean, I'm pretty sure Steven wouldn't do this. He's just outrageous, but some opening acts get sabotaged. Sound and lights. There's a lot of people that don't want the opening act to do well, and then there's incredibly warm-hearted Hall of Famers, and I don't know which Steve is, that want to propel the career of an opening act. So was this that kind of thing, or was he just being his flamboyant ego running around?
Flamboyant self in the end.
Yeah.
I wouldn't quite say sabotage, but he was definitely like, yeah, I love this, but it's been a long time since I played clubs, because you know what it's like when you've played arenas.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So this is, wait a minute. Was this when you were in Tennessee for 5 minutes?
Yeah. Must have been
Nashville.
somewhere around there. Kind of a blur. We were at the Wild Horse Saloon for that gig, if you're familiar.
Okay.
You know what? He was probably insecure because he was trying to break into country music.
Probably.
That's possible.
Yeah. And I know when I get insecure, I want to knock someone else down. That's my thing. Anyway, the punchline is that you told him off somehow. What did you say?
He was trying to give me advice at some point in one of those mess with the head moments. And he's like, if you're just nervous, just sing. Just sing a little something. So I kind of wanted to test that in the moment in my anxiousness. And I wanted him to sing Dude Looks Like a Lady to my face. So I said something like, is that true, Steven? When you're nervous, you should sing something? Yeah. And I was like, well, so this teenager that you adopted so you could date her, like what was going on with that? And he just kind of like looked at me and, and walked off. And in that moment, I was like equal parts. Oh, you're so badass. You did that. And also you're never going to work in this industry again. And he's going to tell everybody, and it's been following me around. So thanks for this therapy session. We can figure out the insurance thing later. Keep it rolling, Bob. Keep going.
Oh, that's wild because, that's a real like lawsuit. That's a real thing because didn't California change the laws so you could go after the Harvey Weinsteins of the past? There's some story that, and maybe this was after you boldly told him off. Did you sing "Dude Looks Like a Lady" for him? Or did you mention that song? Or
Nah.
Okay. That was a thought you had in your head.
I was equal parts. I just. When I wasn't allowed to listen to music growing up, I had to like smuggle things into my house. And of course, Aerosmith was one of the things that was like, whoa, music can sound like this. You know, it's not Christian music. So there was that like heroes level of thing. But then in my research going into the gig, like, let's find out more about this guy. And came across that and I thought, that is kind of weird. But now country music is the thing. Who is this dude? And I was just mind blown about how short he was in the end. Wow, great opportunity, great venue. So happy we got that. But yeah, it was a really weird night.
But you hit him up with the 14-year-old. All right, that's ballsy, if I may say that.
A little bit. Probably why I'm poor in Bozeman, Montana. You're right.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's awesome. And I said, like, he's almost like over the years, he did some very nice things for me. Just to put the story in perspective, when he got sober, he actually called me, I guess because he assumed that Lisa had to have married another alcoholic drug addict. And he had just gotten sober and he called me out of the blue. And he said, actually, he was talking to Lisa. You know, they're old friends. He was talking to Lisa and he said, can I speak to your husband? And I thought she put him up to it. And he said, hey, have you ever had that feeling where you wish you could stop taking drugs, but you just can't make yourself stop? And I was like, yeah, every day. Who are you? You know, and he was like, well, I've been recovering now and I have like however much time and I don't do anything. And I'm like, even pot? And he was like, yeah, nothing but, coffee. That's it. And so weirdly, he's the first guy who planted that seed that, if he could quit. And then, years later, we would run into each other and he was always very, very nice to us, but very flamboyant and certainly not like
chill.
Not chill. Yeah. And there's something about rock stars. I've had a chance. Have you met other rock stars, Chace?
Yeah. People are people at the end of the day. And even with him,
you said that at the beginning. Yeah.
Problematic past, it's almost like we're all nuanced and we live a whole life and it's not really that black and white. So, I mean, he was being Steven Tyler that day and I was just like a shaking, anxious mess. But then there's other interactions like being in a green room by myself, me and a friend, a bandmate, just, getting the catering and just hiding before we go do something. And this dude walks up just kind of out of nowhere and stares at me and says, hey, man, you try the potato salad? Yeah, sure. It's good. Yeah, it's great, isn't it? And then he just walks away. And then I was like, that was really weird. And then we sit down to eat. And the dude just comes back and sits down with us. And I'm trying to figure out who this guy is. And he says, hi, I'm Eddie Money. And just talks and just has
Eddie
this
great.
beautiful conversation. And so it's just these little human touches, you know who you are, but you still take 5 minutes to look me in the eye and pretend like you give a shit. That's all I really care about.
That's nice. And by the way, you're extremely nice.
Thank you.
You got a little Gandhi in you. I don't know what it is, but
I prefer Ram Dass, but thank you very much.
Okay, no problem. But no, and I hate that the word woke has been turned into a pejorative. We're not going to discuss identity politics, but
I thought this was CNN Crossfire.
No, but the whole idea that something that caring for each person, literally as Jesus, if you believe in Jesus, as Jesus or the universe or whatever, even our Constitution, all men are created equal, women too, and black people also.
A little later.
Eventually, a little later. Right now they make really good slaves. Yeah. Anyway, this whole idea that all of us have souls and we're all the same, you've led with that several times in this conversation, and it's a really beautiful thing. How hard was it for you to become, because I don't know any trans people, by the way, I don't. And I'm completely old and,
in the way.
I know my heart's in the right place. You don't
look a day over 42, Bob.
Thank you very much. But I don't know. I can't imagine what that's like in today's day and age. And I guess I want to know something, but I don't know what question to ask.
You know, I don't really even know the question or answer either, because I didn't grow up with trans people. I grew up in middle of nowhere, Kansas, you know? So Kansas? It's, I think patience and compassion goes a long way, no matter who we are. Sorry to keep drilling that in, but, you know, I feel like people in my community are just as guilty of that. You know, it's one thing to feel like your whole identity and worldview is being attacked on the outside, and that's very real. But at the same time, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, even going back to the Jesus thing. And so, you know, patience goes a long way. And the best thing that I can do on behalf of the community is not just rage politics or talk your ear off about it, but just exist as a person in front of you.
I'll leave you with this. We'll move on to some more music, but I'll leave you with this. There's a friend of mine who's very spiritual and very active in his church and is a scientist, said something. And also someone else said something, and I'm going to mash these two quotes together. But he basically said, I love Jesus. I don't trust anyone who works for him.
Yeah, nailed it. When you read that portion, the Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, he's a good dude. It's like, oh yeah, I can get behind this. Don't be a dick. But then somehow that turns into give me all of money for this dude when he said, maybe take care of homeless people and take care of your community.
Well, you're so fascinating to talk to, and but I want to have you play a little more, and I don't know what to ask you to play. So, what's fun for you?
As I said earlier, $20 is $20. That's a great question.
PayPal.
By the way, Zip's a musician and has been a touring musician and still does gigs. 20, maybe 50 sometimes, right?
Actually, on a good night, $50 with a tip jar. Yeah, you bet.
Yeah. The joke works better with 20, though. I got to give you that for comedic timing, Jay. Let's see. So, whatever you enjoy.
Whatever I enjoy. If you feel that it's real, I'm on a trial, and I'm heading your prison like a coin in your mouth. I am dead and I'm spelled with my treason. If you have the licensing cleared for all of this. So sorry if I just got you sued into oblivion right now.
So since we're using one of those Zoomy things, hopefully it'll be glitchy enough that the algorithms won't ban.
We won't get Shazammed.
I don't know.
Yeah. Also, you did little clips at a time. That was very clever. Chace McNinch. Chace, where can we see you? How can people look you up and get to know what you do online?
Social media, that's a thing now. It's 2024. Welcome, everybody. Chace McNinch. Instagram is really the biggest thing I'm active with in terms of connecting. Chace, it's CHACE_AM, as in, man, shut the fuck up and just keep playing the piano. No, this is my plug. This is my time. Chill out. Just Chace_AM, and then Chace McNinch, Spotify, blah, 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 wherever you get your music.
All right. Many in our audience are probably tech challenged, so Michael will put all this up on the screen. Chace, a pleasure to meet you. Can't wait to see you live at some point. I think Vegas would be okay.
Yeah.
I think you should come to Vegas.
Why not?
Any plans? All right.
You tell me. Send me an email. Buy a plane ticket, please. I need this job so bad.
Yeah, I'm just going to send you $20. That's all I'm going to do. $20.
All right. That's great.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And
thanks.
And maybe some frequent flyer miles, because that would be very,
Hell
very
yeah. Thank you
Chase,
so much.
very nice to meet you.
Thanks,
It's been a
Chase.
pleasure. You're awesome. Take care.